cases where someone comes in, especially in terms of like psychic and mediums that claim they can communicate with spirits or the dead, and you definitely hear the cases where something, they come in and they spoke with them, and then the problem, goes away. So I think there's some validity to that. Now, we've not personally had something like that happen ourselves. That's a tough one to answer because, I'm still alive, so I don't know what's on the other side and what happens.
Right.
And I've yet to have an EVP of someone give me a 15-minute lecture, from the other side on what's going on. So, you have to kind of go with what others are saying that claim they can communicate with spirits. And if you believe in that too, that they can, and some of what they say, and there is that, definitely there is a strong belief that many of these spirits or ghosts, need help to move on, that they're being held back by, sometimes, they want revenge, or they don't realize that they're dead and they're waiting for someone to come home. Or, I've heard many stories of why some, spirit was still hanging around. The list is just enormous.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any wants and desires and goals for your investigations? This obviously takes a lot of time and financial resources that we all put in our separate investigative niches. What's your ultimate goal?
Well, we started all really to, help expand the knowledge of the paranormal. And one of the reasons why we ended up doing the show as well is to just continue, that interest, to keep it out there, keep it going, keep people interested, because I think it is important. And, when you really look at even the past, things 100 years ago that would have been considered paranormal,
mm-hmm.
are common knowledge now, are accepted things. Gosh, you would have said, 150 years ago, well, I'm going to create this computer and it's going to do this and that. You would have been called crazy, and that something like that was impossible, and it would have been categorized as paranormal. But now everybody has a PC, and so I think it's important that we continue to definitely keep diving into the paranormal and all those mysterious things that surround us, and trying to gain knowledge from them to better ourselves as a society, as a race, and better our lives.
Great answer. You're listening to the host of Shadows in the Dark Radio, now syndicated on the Black Vault Radio Network. Check it out online, www.blackvaultradio.com, or check Jeremiah out at shadowsinthedarkradio.com, and his paranormal investigation group site, www.easternparanormalinvestigators.com. We'll be right back here on the Black Vault Radio with Jeremiah Greer. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Black Vault Radio. I'm your host, John Greenewald Jr. We're finishing up with the host of Shadows in the Dark Radio, a fantastic show now syndicated on the Black Vault Radio Network, Jeremiah Greer. Jeremiah, it's been a fascinating hour. Ghosts have always been a long-time fascination for me, mainly because I don't know much about them, and I believe that's evident. So thank you for answering all my questions, because I'm learning myself, and always interested to have these investigators on like yourself to help me better understand the phenomena. Now, Shadows in the Dark Radio, tell me a little bit about that so my listeners can understand exactly what you do on the air, and what kind of guests do you have.
Yeah, sure will. Now, Shadows in the Dark has been around for almost a year and a half now, and I have a ghost group where we focus more on ghosts, but that is not what the show does. We are a very diverse show when it comes to the paranormal, the unexplained, and we cover so many topics. From UFOs to conspiracies to ghosts to the strange and weird. It's a very diverse show. We're always doing something different. And we broadcast twice a week. We are live twice a week, and of course syndicated now on Black Vault Radio Network, which thanks very much for that.
Absolutely, good to have you aboard.
Yeah, so it's we try to get some of the best known guests that we can, and even the unknowns. That's one thing that we really love doing with the show, is bringing on people that you just may not ever heard of, but they have so much to say about whatever their specialty is or their research is all about. And we always find those shows seem to go over a lot more than having the big names, because it gives that whole different light, that different perspective on something you've heard for so many years from one particular person.
Do you have an interest that really kind of trumps all others? Is it ghosts, or is something else that you talk about on the radio, kind of your specialty, your one like in this field?
Well, that's tough for me because I'm a person who has so many interests that sometimes it's way too many, and I don't have the time to dig into all of them. And I enjoy every single show because one of the things that we always do with our show, I think that sets us apart from many of the ones that are out there, not all of them, but many of them that are out there, is when we have a guest on, if they have a book, we read the book. And that way we can ask intelligent questions and keep on track and definitely make the guest feel appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
And, so doing that and having such a diverse show, well, one week I'm reading about strange and weird things in Florida. The next week I'm reading about UFOs. And so, my own interests are fueled, and as well as my knowledge is continuing to increase on all the aspects of the paranormal.
Sure is a fun job, isn't it?
Oh, man, I love it. I love it.
The show is Shadows in the Dark Radio. You can check the you can listen to the show live at www.shadowsinthedarkradio.com. Jeremiah, if I have this right, it's Thursday and Sunday night?
Yep, Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time and Sundays at 9:30 p.m.
Great. And Jeremiah is gracious enough to help me out in keeping my archive up to date. After it broadcasts live, it is then archived to blackvaultradio.com and kept as long as that site will survive, and I hope that is decades to come. So you'll probably be on... how many shows do you have now? You're 105?
Yes, we've done 105 shows.
105 shows. I don't have them quite all yet, but I plan to. So make sure you check out Jeremiah's archive, www.blackvaultradio.com, and him online, I'm sorry, I'm going too fast here. Shadowsinthedarkradio.com, and his investigative paranormal group, EasternParanormalInvestigators.com. Jeremiah, thank you so much for joining me here on the Black Vault Radio. I'm guessing those websites have some contact information for you?
They sure do. They have email addresses and maybe even phone numbers. I'm not sure what's all up there.
Fantastic. And if you're listening via the blackvault.com or blackvaultradio.com, I will have Jeremiah's contact information right below the link that you clicked on. So make sure if you want to contact him, drop him a letter and let him know what you think. Jeremiah, thanks again for everything.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor.
Absolutely. And thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time here on the Black Vault Radio. We'll see you next time.